Hey everybody, meteorologist Greg Majestic back in here in the North Georgia Majestic Weather Studios with your Tropical Storm Arthur 5 p.m. update here on your June the 17th, 2026. Well, got some things to pass along to you. It looks like the flooding risk is being expanded across parts of Georgia. We're going to tell you the latest from the excessive rain outlook has definitely changed a bit there. We're going to show you that here in just a second. The storm is definitely inland, never really got itself really organized, but the trek a little bit more to the west, I think, is lending it to possibly being a little bit further north as far as the moisture tracker. Remember, that's going to be key on who gets the heavier rains and who doesn't. So we'll be watching that very closely. So let's go ahead and dive into the latest update here from the Hurricane Center. As you can see, the center of circulation is definitely inland here, south of the Houston area. It looks like it'll track right over the top there as we go through the next couple days. And again, this thing's going to become extratropical pretty quickly as it moves off toward the north. So again, you can see the top sustained winds right now just kind of holding at 46 miles per hour. That's the max winds showing up there with gusts up to 58. So again, just a kind of a minimal tropical storm here that's going to be moving in across eastern Texas and then eventually make that turn to the right and moving toward Louisiana and Mississippi. Satellite picture really kind of showing just how discombobulated the center of circulation is. It's sitting over here. Look at all the thunderstorms out over here, well off toward the east. So this center of circulation is just kind of meandering there a little bit, but it's going to be moving off toward the north and east, eventually going in this direction as we go in through this evening. So definitely have not had the best steering currents, but it has undergone what we call wind shear. That's higher winds at the upper levels that have definitely kept the storm from really organizing, not to mention the fact that the center of circulation never really got completely over the ocean for that matter. Now, let's go ahead and look at the radar imagery here, the local radar out of Houston. You can't even see this thing very much there. You see the showers and storms out over the Gulf, but really doesn't show up very well on the radar, but you can see it there on the satellite picture. Now, here's the current watches and warnings out. As you can see, the flood watches extend from Georgia all the way back here toward Texas and Louisiana. So we got all that in here. Here's our tropical storm warnings up here along the coast, as that storm will be making its inland progress here for tonight. Now, here's the big change that happened here. Here's the current day one outlook here on the excessive rain forecast. Watch what happens as I go into day two, and that comes into a lot more of Georgia than we're showing here on the earlier outlook. So we're looking at getting into a lot of metro Atlanta getting in on this. Again, a lot of North Georgia still looking at that 15% rate, but down in that red, that's 40% for some perhaps flooding taking place with some of the heavier rain mounts in that area. Now, once we get past Thursday and go into Friday, it does start to back off. You see still dealing with a little bit of yellow there across metro Atlanta. A lot of North Georgia goes to green. And then by Saturday, we're drying things out. So by Saturday, we're looking pretty good, and things will look a lot better there. And I think that'll continue into Sunday as well. Maybe a little rain coming across northwest Georgia there late in the day on Sunday. So that is the big change right there, is that expansion of that moderate flooding risk across Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, definitely covering a larger area. Now, on top of that, we do have a severe weather risk we're going to watch with this system as well. They did upgrade this slight risk here earlier today that included Louisiana, Mississippi, which is typical when you get a landfalling tropical systems. There's going to be some weak spin-ups in the atmosphere with this, and thus a tornado threat, and that's what they got right in there through Louisiana, running about 5% there through Louisiana, Mississippi, and that green is the 2%. Now, as far as tomorrow is concerned, well, we got to worry about tomorrow. The entire state of Georgia is under a marginal risk. I don't think I've seen a marginal risk covering that much area, that much real estate in quite some time. And then when you look at the tornado risk with this, again, as that center moves in, you got that green zone in there. So we could see some potential spin-ups along with this. I think this thing's going to become kind of extra tropical, and it's going to be juiced a little bit by a little bit of jet stream energy as a cold front comes on down. So some of the models are actually indicating this thing getting stronger as it's passing through Georgia, which is really unusual to see. But that's what we're tracking right here for tomorrow. So that's how it's currently looking for now. Now let's look at our current map. Again, we're seeing just some scattered rains and storms out there for right now. And we're still waiting for the bulk of this moisture to kind of move inland here as it comes on in across the south. So again, once that center of circulation starts to move, and it will start to pick up its speed as we go in forward tonight. So the big thing that's driving this, again, is you look at all the composite model data, it is shifted a little bit more toward the north here compared to earlier runs. Yesterday, it looked like it was a little bit further south. It's kind of shifted a little bit further north on that center of circulation, and where it drags that heavier tropical moisture is going to be what we're watching. Heck, you even see some of these solutions are even way up here, but if you kind of take the midline here, that is going to bring it right over Georgia, and looking pretty reasonable with that. All right, so let's go look at the latest model data here. We're going to be looking here first at the high resolution model here. Again, like that little timestamp there on top as we kind of track this, so you can get an idea of the timing on this. All right, so morning rush hour is not going to be bad. All right, we're looking good there. I want to go a little bit closer. Okay, so North Georgia here, you guys, as far as morning going to work and that kind of thing, you're looking pretty good. No problems there. But the evening rush hour, that's going to be a different story, okay? We're seeing the rains there pick up in the afternoon, and as we get to 3 or 4 o'clock, yeah, we're looking at some pretty good downpours here, pretty good rain starting to expand here across Georgia at that time. So the evening rush hour could be definitely very wet with some heavy rains. This model is producing a pretty good squall line here down across from the Grange back in toward Mobile. So some pretty good heavy thunderstorms with that. And that'll be that zone to watch for particular tornadoes as well in that zone. Now, as this thing goes on by, we'll see the front catch up with it and it clears out. We got a little more activity there going into Friday morning. But once that goes by, we'll see things improve by Friday afternoon, and the weekend will be looking pretty good. But look at all the showers and thunderstorms on the tail end with that frontal system kind of draping down in there as it bumps into that wet, tropical, juicy air. Now, let's take a look at the rapid refresh. Let's use that as a comparison here. I'm going to back this up. And we're kind of looking at two of the more high resolution model data here. So we're looking at the rapid refresh. You see in that core coming on up here, and look at all that rain coming on here. Again, showing a very similar look here as far as a squall line coming across Alabama there. But look at all that heavy rain coming in across Georgia. So we're getting a little more heavier activity here across North Georgia as this kind of moves on through into tomorrow night. But it does not show as nearly as much activity on the backside of this thing as this thing pulls on by. We don't see a frontal system bringing in any more additional rain. Here's some more rain here toward 5 o'clock on this model showing there. Look at that coming in Alabama, and then it clears on out. So, again, we're looking at that right now. Let's look at the rainfall totals. That's probably a big part of this as well. This is the high-resolution model. Look here. No, this is the rapid refresh here. So you look at this one. You see, again, 3.5 inches, 3. There's an inch down here. Again, it really depends on where the lines of precipitation kind of line up. And keep in mind, when it comes to precipitation, tropical moisture tends to get underestimated by about 20%. So you can almost add an additional inch to some of these totals out there. Now let's take a look at the high resolution version here, and we'll see what it's showing here. So let me get over to that one real quick. And again, okay, so here's that one. Here we go. So there is that is the rapid refresh. My apologies, got them backed up there. So there's that one. That only goes out till 2 o'clock on Friday. So it's a 48-hour image here. And then we look at the high resolution, again, seeing the higher rain totals here across North Georgia. All right, so we're going to be watching very closely tomorrow where the rain set up and what kind of rainfall rates we're getting through Alabama and Georgia as it happens. Okay, that's going to be also critical. What kind of rain is it dumping back to the west? Because you can see here, as I zoom out, you got 7 inches down to Camden, 6. There's 10 there, Vicksburg. So this is, again, the high-resolution model here, showing where the southerly track is, which is where we were kind of favoring, but it may go a little bit further out. So, again, it will all depend on where the activity lines up at that time. Again, with the northern trend here, with that center of circulation, the higher precipitation may come a little bit further north. I think that's why that red area was expanded for the excessive rain output. Now, one other thing I do want to point out here for tomorrow. One more thing. I do want to point out the wind gusts here. Okay, so this is, again, the high resolution model data here. Let me back this up. Got to back this up to the gang. All right, so we're going to have some gusty winds in here. This is, again, Thursday afternoon, seeing 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts here. There's 30 down in Fulton. You see that little area right here? I mean, that's probably 45, 50-mile-per-hour winds that'll show up in here. You see these little spikes in here. All right, so we're going to have some gusty winds potentially with some of these squalls as they come on through. All right, so it looks like as we go into the afternoon, as things go into the afternoon, we're going to have some pretty gusty winds potentially coming through here. So I think for the most part, it'll be 15 to 25, but you're going to get these occasional higher gusts with some of these squalls as it moves through. And then we got to watch the southern area where that tornado threat is going to be for that area as well, because that's where the winds are. So there's that tornado threat we'll be watching there, basically from Interstate 20 southward. A lot of North Georgia, again, not on that tornado risk, but you could still see some very gusty winds. So keep that in mind as well. So my forecast looking like this here for tomorrow. Again, high chance of rain on Thursday. We should be ending on Friday, and then the weekend looking better. Saturday and Sunday, and then our next storm system comes in on your Monday. All right, so the plan here for tomorrow, just so you guys know what I'm going to be doing here. Again, we're going to be doing another 5 o'clock a.m. update for tomorrow, which I will post here on Facebook and on YouTube on both platforms. And then I'll be going in and working at Fox 5 during the day. But I'm only going to be working the 10 and the noon, and then I'll be doing the Fox Local up to about 3:30, and then I'll get to come on home, which is great. And then we'll watch closely to see what happens late afternoon. If it does warrant some form of live severe weather coverage, we will do so on YouTube, and we'll simulcast over on Facebook. All right. So anyway, that's your tropical update for now. Again, the big breaking news story for today is the fact that the heavy rain threat has gone up a little bit. I still don't think it's going to be a huge deal because the system is moving. It's not moving super slow, and it's not going to stall. That is so critical. God knows we've seen in years past where we see slow-moving tropical systems jump, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 inches of rain. We're not looking at anything like that. I think on the top edge of this, maybe 6 inches in some localized spots, especially south of it or down toward Metro Atlanta and south. North Georgia, I still think that 1 to 2 inch average is good with some localized higher amounts. That's what I'm thinking for tomorrow. Again, I appreciate you guys checking us out. Make sure you give us a subscribe there on YouTube, and appreciate all our followers over on Facebook. You guys take it easy, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a good day.